Hello, this is Business Now, reaching you live from IBrandTV news studios in Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, the House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts probes multi-million-dollar debt owed by terminal operators. As scarcity persists, CBN FX sales to authorized dealers decline to $21.82 billion. CEDI depreciation pushes against Ghana's debt to over 390 billion Ghana shillings, with Nigeria's total debt stock primed to peak at 50 trillion naira this year. International Monetary Fund promises to finance more projects in the country. Hello again, and thanks very much for joining us. And here are business stories making headlines this hour. I am Michael Nath. The House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts has commenced an investigation of the multi-million-dollar debt owed to the federal government by terminal operators at the nation's seaports. It is also probing the alleged failure by the Nigerian Ports Authority to account for billions of naira accruing to the government under its watch. As a result, the committee has asked the management of the NPA to explain why it has yet to recover the funds from terminal operators and remit same to the Federation account. The Office of the Auditor General of the Federation had issued 12 audit queries against the NPA based on the authority's financial statement for the 2019 financial year. The NPA has responded to only one of the queries, which borders on the terminal operators' indebtedness to the government to the tune of $852.094 million and 1.897 billion naira, and the query quoted the NPA to have said that the sum of 269.410 million naira out of the 1.8 billion naira had been recovered, while 1.6 billion naira invoices processed on the encumbered areas remain unpaid. Now, the committee, which expressed its dissatisfaction with the response, consequently directed the management of the NPA to come and reconcile their position and provide evidence of remitting the recovered 269.51 million naira and 92.53 million naira to the Treasury. We'll take a short break now and return with more stories. Stay with us.
The cosmetics and personal care industry globally generates an estimated annual turnover of around $400 billion over the last 20 years. In Nigeria, the beauty and personal care market could reach 3.2 billion euros by 2021, making Nigeria the rising star in sub-Saharan Africa. Products for hair and body care are predominant on the beauty market in sub-Saharan Africa, where face products and makeup remain marginal but have strong potential. Africa's largest economy clearly has a lot to offer. The Nigerian beauty and personal care market is currently worth more than $1.25 billion at retail and is forecast to reach more than $1.31 billion next year, according to Euromonitor International. It includes a wide range of products from skincare items to makeup and beauty items. These are items that predominantly appeal to women and men alike to purchase beauty products, even though men are interested in cosmetics.
You're welcome back. The Auditor General, Office of the Auditor General for the Federation, has queried the management of the OGUN-OSUN River Basin Development Authority for selling of government plant, property and equipment valued at over 2 billion naira at a paltry sum of 13.618 million naira. The House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts has consequently summoned the Minister of Water Resources and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry to explain the auction. The committee had on Friday grilled the Management Director of BDA, Olufemi Odumosu. At the investigative hearing, Odumosu justified the disposal, telling the committee that the PPE was sold off by the auctioneers appointed by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, who also approved the auction. Records of the auction's assets show that an 800 kVA Perkins diesel generating set bought in 2006 for an undisclosed amount was sold for 550,000 naira in 2018 after it was categorized as unserviceable. Also, a CAT payloader bought for 70,000 naira in 1982 was sold for 40,000 naira, while other earth-moving equipment like bulldozers, graders, and escalators were sold for between 350,000 naira and 550,000 naira as unserviceable items, among others. The Central Bank of Nigeria sold a total of $21.82 billion foreign exchange to authorized dealers in 2021, compared with the $28.96 billion sold by the Apex Bank in 2020, representing a decline of 24.65%. The CBN, in its latest economic report, disclosed that total foreign exchange sales to authorized dealers was at $1.65 billion in January, representing a decrease of 3.1% relative to $1.71 billion in December 2021. A breakdown of the report revealed that foreign exchange sales at SME window, interbank invisible foreign exchange sales, and matured swaps contracts rose by 24.4%, 25.9%, and 60.8% to $0.14 billion, $0.18 billion, and $0.21 billion, respectively, in January, relative to the amount in December 2021. With Nigeria's total debt stock primed to peak at 50 trillion naira this year, International Monetary Fund has promised to finance more projects in the country with more lending funds to the government. Speaking at the National Economic Dialogue on critical challenges confronting the Nigerian economies organized by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group in Abuja, representatives and resident representative of IMF, Ari Aison, posited that Nigeria, as a big economy, was capable of repaying its debts if the funds were properly channeled to good use. He said that without financing, Nigeria may not be able to pay salaries and arrears of salaries. Also, the country may not be able to tackle emergencies. On the question of taxation, IMF advised the government to develop a tax system that is progressive. Aison said that the government should make tax payment easy for Nigerians and develop trusts among the citizens. Now, telecommunications subscribers are kicking against a new federal government directive to impose a tax on telephone calls in the nation to fund free health care for the vulnerable. The telecom tax, in the equivalent of a minimum of 1 kobo per second for phone calls, is a part of the sources of funds required to finance free health care for the vulnerable group in Nigeria. That's according to National Health Insurance Authority Bill 2021, signed by the President Muhammad Buhari last week. According to the Nigerian Communications Commission, Nigerians made 150.83 billion minutes of calls in 2020. This translates to 9.05 trillion seconds of calls, meaning the new tax will generate 9.05 trillion kobo, which converts to 90.49 billion naira yearly. This new tax is coming despite moves by telecom companies to increase the price of calls, SMS, and data by 40% as a result of an unfavorable operating environment. Nigeria has more than ever before been exposed to as a country that is unable to meet its OPEC quota of 1.772 million following the war between Russia and Ukraine. The country European Commission recently proposed an oil embargo on Russia crude oil and refined products as part of the sixth sanction package being discussed by the European Union. The crude oil embargo will come into effect after 6 months and the refined product embargo would come into effect at the end of this year. Nigeria, also being one of OPEC's strongest members, it's torn between working to increase exploration by all means in order to take advantage of Russia's oil ban to earn more revenues and remaining loyal to OPEC's quota. An oil and gas expert, Dauda Garuba, said Nigeria did not prepare for the coming opportunity posed by the Russian ban and therefore would not in any way take advantage of it. According to him, the issue at hand was a global one, and even if OPEC has already expressed its inability to bridge the gap that will be created by the ban, he noted Nigeria didn't prepare for this because since 2017, the country's reserves have remained static at 37 billion barrels. Now, the Minister of Finance, Budget and Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has urged insurance operators to address the low contribution of the sector to the country's gross domestic product. While commissioning the National Insurance Commission's portal in Abuja, Ahmed noted that the sector, which had huge potential, contributed just 0.88% to the country's GDP in 2021. She said, quote, the current insurance penetration, a measure of the contribution of insurance to gross domestic product of 0.88% for 2021, is very low. This indicates a low insurance sector development contribution to the national economy. While commissioning of the portal, she said it should serve as a springboard for industry-wide adoption of technology and innovation for efficient and effective service delivery, ease of transaction business, and customer experience and satisfaction. The Bank of Industry is recorded 61.15 billion naira and as profit before the tax of 2021 financial period. The chairman of BOI's Board of Directors, Aliyu Diko, who announced the results during the bank's 62nd annual general meeting in Abuja, said that the figure represented a 75% increase in profits. He said the bank also declared a dividend payment of 7.89 billion naira for the financial year ended December 2021 to its shareholders. Diko said that the results showed the bank's capacity to withstand economic headwinds to boost the federal government's revenue. Now, still to come, crude oil hits $111 a barrel amid weak dollar and OPEC stance to support Russia. Details and more after this break. Stay with us.
The photography business is a very competitive industry. Every year, thousands of talented photo lovers consider turning their passion into a money-making business venture. Especially in a fiercely competitive marketplace like Nigeria, in which it is very easy for anyone to buy a digital camera and call themselves a professional photographer. According to some practitioners, a new photographer who wants a standard studio can start with a budget of 3.5 million naira. However, one can start with a lower budget of about 500,000 to 1 million naira depending on the tools and cost of rent. On the average, the cost of photography equipment is around 294,790 naira. However, the price ranges from around 41,000 naira to as high as 2.46 million naira. Nigeria has a population of over 200 million people with a vibrant movie industry that produces 50 movies per week, generating annual revenue of approximately $590 million from between 2016 and 2021, helping the photography industry as a whole, according to a recent research by the UN.
You're watching Business Now from IBrandTV Lagos. Now to Africa's scene. To prevent acceleration of acute food insecurity trends in the coming months and years, the United Nations has stressed the importance of expanding food production at the country level by providing cash and critical inputs for cereal and vegetable production, as well as protecting livestock with treatments, vaccinations, feed and water. This was emphasized at the United Nations Security Council meeting held in New York and chaired by the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. At the meeting, which also saw the participation of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the Executive Director of the World Food Programme, David Beasley, Food and Agriculture Organization posited that agriculture was key to lasting peace and security. However, speaking at the UN Security Council debate in New York, the Director General Q.U. Dungu noted that conflict remains the main driver of global hunger. Recent data released by the Bank of Ghana puts Ghana's total public debt stock as of March 2022 at 55.1 billion shillings and 391.9 billion shillings. In dollar terms, the debt dropped by over $3 billion in the first 3 months of the year, from $58.4 billion in January to $55.1 billion in March. In CEDI terms, however, the total debt stock within the first 3 months of this year increased by about 40 billion Ghana cedis from 351.7 billion cedis in January 2022 to 391.9 Ghana cedis in March 2022. The March 2022 debt figure brings Ghana's debt to gross domestic product ratio to 78%, using a projected GDP for 2022 of about 502 billion Ghana cedis. Now, Kenya's private firms could get investments amounting to 81.4 billion shillings, that's about $700 million over the next 5 years from British International Investment, which previously traded as CDC Group. BII has pledged investments worth $7.5 billion in Africa, and the fund's chief executive says Kenya has the potential of taking up 10% of the capital commitment, going by previous investment trends. The British fund has rebranded from CDC as part of its new strategy to identify with the UK and shift towards climate finance and the digital space. BII makes the investments directly or through private equity funds to which it contributes the pooled capital. Currently, the fund has a portfolio of about $500 million in Kenya, including infrastructure, financial services, and logistics. Now to foreign scene. During the week's opening, oil prices rose as investors weighed tight as concerns about global growth were exacerbated by product markets and a weaker dollar. It has gained for 4 consecutive weeks, the longest run since February, as West Texas Intermediate climbed toward $111 a barrel. The price of gasoline and diesel has risen to records ahead the start of the U.S. driving season, which begins in about a week. Money managers have also increased their bullish crude bets. Saudi Arabia signaled at the weekend that it will continue to support Russia's role in the OPEC group of producers, undermining U.S. efforts to isolate Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman said the kingdom was hoping to reach an agreement with OPEC, which includes Russia. Now, the Russia ruble strengthened on Monday, heading back towards multi-year highs hit against the dollar and euro last week, supported by capital controls and an upcoming month-end tax period. At 0754 GMT, the ruble was 2.5% stronger against the dollar at 58.74, and not far from 57.0750, its strongest mark since last late March 2018 hit on Friday. It had gained 2.3% to trade at 61.38 versus the euro, nearing its strongest point since June 2015 of 59.02, also reached on Friday. The ruble has firmed about 30% to the dollar this year, despite a full-scale economic crisis in Russia, making it the world's best-performing currency. Shares were mostly higher in Asia in cautious trading Monday after Wall Street dipped once again to the edge of a bear market. Tokyo and Sydney gained Monday, while Hong Kong declined. Shanghai was little changed and US figures were 1% higher. Investors were awaiting minutes from the latest policy setting meeting of the Federal Reserve and updates on consumer prices due later this week. On Friday, the S&P 500 dipped more than 20% below its peak set earlier this year before buying late in the day gave it a tiny gain. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Stay with us.